What's up guys, TheManShaq, and in this video is another UFC career mode. I think it's episode 5. We are currently ranked 12th. We are on a 10-0 winning streak with knockouts, submissions. I think we've got 3 submissions in a row in our last few fights. And our next fight is against Damian Maia. Before I start talking about the UFC career mode, as of recording this video, well as of editing this video, UFC 290 is taking place. I'm currently watching the early prelims of Cameron Simon versus Terence Mitchell. I did have a bet on Terence Mitchell to win. He was a major underdog because he previously fought against Kai Kara France, and lost on the Dana White's Contender Series season 24. But the fight's just finished, and Cameron Simon did win in round 1 by ground and pound, flattened him out. Terence Mitchell came out too aggressive, knocked him out. But basically, I just wanted to talk about the main card because it is absolutely stacked. You've got Bo Nickel versus Val Woodburn. If you don't know who Bo Nickel is, he's a middleweight contender. He's currently 4-0. I think it's 2 or 3 first-round finishes. High prospect, amazing. Val Woodburn is a late notice call-up because Tristan Gore pulled out. We've then got Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker, which is obviously not many people think it's a massive fight, but I think this is huge because Jalen Turner trains with Khamzat Chimaev. Dan Hooker's best mates with Israel Adesanya. Both absolutely elite fighters, and they're going to go at it in the lightweight division later on the main card. We are still on the early prelims, and then the big 3 fights of the night. You've got Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis is 19-2. He had I think it was against Derek Brunson, where Derek Brunson's corner threw in the towel. I was watching that fight. I don't really rate him, but if he can beat Robert Whittaker tonight, I think opinions can shift, because I don't really rate. I think he just gasses out. He had a fight obviously against Darren Till as well, and he just took him down and led on him for the whole fight. And I believe his gas tank's not that good, but it'll be an absolute worldy of a fight. Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. He's just a massive guy, pure muscle. I don't think he's got too much cardio in, but then obviously you got Robert Whittaker, who's just an amazing striker. He's trying to destroy the hype train so he can get that title shot against Adesanya. Obviously because Alex Pereira is moving up to the light heavyweight division and is fighting on the UFC 291 card, where he's on the co-main event, where Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje are the main card in that fight, and that's an absolute stacked fight, and I'll get into talking about that later. Then you've got the co-main event. You've got the rivalry between Brandon Moreno and Alexandre Pantoja. Alexandre Pantoja has got 2 wins over Brandon Moreno, but I'm not sure how the outcome is going to be on this fight, because Brandon Moreno, he obviously had those 4 fights with Figueiredo. He lost 1. I think he lost 2 actually. Or was it 2? No. I think he lost 1, came back, got his belt back, won another, and then won another just to slam it down. Obviously with that, I don't know if it was a knockout or a submission, but he did finish him in the first or the second round. I'll quickly have a look at that for you. It was an absolute amazing fight. He won by TKO of round 3 against Figueiredo, obviously because of the cut on his eye, and Figueiredo, I think he's moving up to featherweight. I'm not sure. I think he said after the fight he was going to move up a division. And then you've got the main card. So the co-main, you've got the Mexican Moreno, and then the main event, you've got Yair Rodriguez, the Mexican monster, versus Alexander Volkanovski, the pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Oh my, it's going to be an amazing fight. Alexander Volkanovski he's been throwing so many tests. He's had that fight with Islam Makhachev recently, which he lost. I believe he could have won that. He had the trilogy versus Max Holloway, where he absolutely battered him up on the 3rd fight. He fought the Korean Zombie and just absolutely outclassed him. He fought Brian Ortega when he got put in a guillotine twice in a row, managed to get back out and win the fight, not by knockout or anything, but he won by decision. But then obviously you've got the prospect of Yair Rodriguez, who he did lose. I don't know who he lost against. I'll have a look. Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar got absolutely pummeled on the floor by him. And that was one of his major losses, well, a major setback. But recently, he had that fight against Max Holloway, he lost. But then he fought Brian Ortega, knocked him out in round 1. And then his most recent fight against Joshua Emmett, who he beat by submission in round 2. This is just one of the biggest cards, one of the biggest stat cards you'll see of the year. I think it's probably the second biggest stat card you'll see. UFC 290, and then you've got UFC 291. I'll just quickly talk about the my UFC primo before the fighting end. We obviously beat Damian Maia. We did beat him by decision because he was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, and he just kept taking me to the ground, as you saw. Then we had a fight against Robbie Lawler, who was just, as expected, throwing hams, knocking me out, and I had to resort to just kicking his leg out from underneath him. I did drop him a few times, but I did end up finishing him by a brutal leg kick here. It was back and forth. My stamina was low. He had good stamina, kept his distance, clinched me up, took me down a few times. But in the end, I went low to high, head kick. So I went for the switch kick in the air to the head, and then I went for the low, as you saw, I dropped him there. And then I finished him with just a little body hit. And then, bam, finished him there with a low leg kick. If you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. We are currently 12-0 in the UFC. And hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you in a bit. Peace.